It's White Sox time, baby. Who the hell's on this team? Luis Robert Jr. is. But who else? I'll tell you next here on the CHGO White Sox Podcast. CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live from Studio B of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, my producer, Stephen Nicholas. On today's show, me and my very, very special guest will be telling you who will be making the White Sox opening day roster. We know that it's not Brandon Drury because he's hurt. And we know it's not Mason Adams because he's hurt. We know it's not Drew Thorpe because he's also hurt. And we know that it's not Colson Montgomery because he's hurt. So we'll figure it out. Why don't we go to the bullpen? We'll call in the righty. We're going to the Hooters Hot Wing Hotline, and we're welcoming in StoopKiid from the All Sports Scene. If you know how to spell, there is an anagram in there somewhere. Am I right?
Anagram? I don't know, but the abbreviation of All Sports Scene is pretty obvious.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it's abbreviation.
Acronym, I think, is the word you're looking for.
Is it acronym? Can we pull up the definitions of acronym? Stephen,
Can
you read us I want Webster. Do we want Webster? Do you have a preference when it comes to dictionary, StoopKiid?
Webster's all right. Urban really is the preferred.
I will go with Oxford, I guess, because that's being pulled up. Acronym, the abbreviation formed from the initial letters of other words as pronounced as a word,
Correct.
As in NASA. So what is All Sports Scene? I'm not that good with.
I don't know. Am I allowed to say it? You tell me.
I don't know.
I think we could say that one.
We could say that one, apparently.
Okay, ass. Yeah.
Oh, all right. There we go. Wonderful. Sam Reeves in the chat says, special guest. He's pretty regular, which is pretty fair. I mean, you're fine.
Well, I think that he would normally classify me as special, but he's trying to flex for the camera, so can't blame him.
Absolutely. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We do have a very, very big Bulls post game tonight. The Bulls pre and post game. The Bulls are taking on the Nuggets. And yesterday or 2 days ago, the Bulls beat the Lakers, and apparently Los Angeles fell into the crack that it is, the one that causes earthquakes all the time. Apparently all of Los Angeles just fell into the Earth's core and melted because Modest Buzelis dunked on their asses. So anyways, woohoo. Let's not talk about the Bulls. Let's talk about the White Sox. Over the weekend, Brandon Drury was released by the Chicago White Sox. It seemed like he was one of the guys that was actually doing something in spring training. Were you surprised? Did you know Brandon Drury was on the White Sox?
Those are appropriate questions, and what a good-looking question. And may I say, what a good-looking host. And it's not at all my goal to completely derail this for 45 minutes and avoid talking about the White Sox at all costs. Yes, I was aware Brandon Drury was on the team. I was not really conscious of his level of efficacy for pitching for the White Sox, or lack thereof, I guess, as it turns out. But from my understanding, it doesn't seem from the casual observer like they have a ton of depth anywhere. So cutting anyone that I've heard of does come as a bit of a surprise, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong about the depth. That's been a main issue with Rick Hahn and Chris Getz, is that they don't have much depth to their team. But I think really the biggest issue for this 2025 White Sox team is the talent.
Is that
they don't seem to be talented? I don't think they have any talent.
Is talent something that you generally want on a professional sports team?
I think.
Do you? Oh yeah. Shoot.
I don't know for sure. I don't know if we've done enough research, but I think you need talent. The one thing that, again, is obviously important with this whole Drury move is that he did suffer a thumb fracture. He had the opportunity to opt out and test free agency this weekend if he wasn't added to the White Sox 40-man. What it seems like they're doing here is giving him the 2 months to heal and recover, and then likely offer him the opportunity to come back and give the White Sox an opportunity. He would probably do a Tommy Pham situation where he'd start off in Charlotte and then get added to the White Sox team around June. I guess my question to you, and something I saw by my former co-host Herb Lawrence, is, at the end of the day, at the best you can hope for is a Paul DeJong return. Should they be chasing a Paul DeJong return in Brandon Drury, or is it a guy that's 32 years old and just let him figure out his broken thumb somewhere else?
Why not get something for him? I suppose you're paying him either way, right?
Right, but then then Jacob Amaya can't play.
Are we really sad about that? How sad are we about that?
Again, I don't know.
Well, this is the White Sox guy.
He was on the Orioles this offseason, and then the Orioles didn't want him, so then he came back to the White Sox. I don't even think the White Sox would be upset. I think the only person that would be upset about Jacob Amaya not being on the White Sox is Jacob Amaya. I mean, Jacob Amaya's family.
That upset? I mean, would you be that upset if you're not if you get to not be on the White Sox?
I don't know. People talk about it's my dream to make it to the major leagues, and that's the whole thing with this team is you talk about the culture of this team. It's just guys that are happy to be here.
Yeah, very vibes based.
But that stuff goes away very quickly when you lose a ton of games, and then in 2026 half the roster's gone completely.
Right.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're building anywhere.
You said it, not me. You're the expert here. Yeah, I don't know. I think that a realistic goal, not that this is necessarily what you asked, but if they could just only lose 100 games, that would be pretty significant. That would be a pretty significant uptick.
Truly, if they win 62 games, 62 and 100. That's a 21 win improvement.
That's what I'm saying. That's a significant. That's really impressive.
Impossible.
I don't think
that's happening.
It feels impossible right now, again, because of what we're going to talk about here, which is who the hell is on this team.
Well, right, and we're going to get to that in a second, but I want to ask you this, because this was touted by Marshall Harrison over on Score Middays at 670. The Score. White Sox have a simple goal for 2025. Don't have the worst record in baseball. That's the goal. Smartass Alex Root said the worst record in baseball has yet to get the first pick through the lottery. 4D chess move to get the pick is to not be the worst team. I just disagree with Alex. Typically, mathematically, if you have the best odds to get it, that means you have the best odds. So I think they should go and try to have the best odds to get the number one overall pick. What say you?
Have you tried telling that to the Bulls?
No. Do you think it would work? Do you think they'd listen?
No, well, I don't. Maybe you've got pull here. I don't know. Maybe they listen to you.
I don't have pull with the team I cover, but maybe I have team with a different. Maybe the Bulls like me better than the White Sox. The White Sox I don't think like me.
Because boy, someone's got to tell the Bulls about this whole increasing your chances of getting a higher draft pick thing. It's a crazy concept. I agree with you. I think that you should do everything in your power. The problem with how wretched the White Sox were last year was that they were ineligible for a top 10 pick, right? And that, as far as I understand, that's not the case for next year's draft. So now you actually can lose games to put yourself in a position to get a good draft pick. I don't see why you wouldn't do that, because you're certainly not winning anything.
Exactly. That's the thing about that argument is that I don't understand. There's no counter argument. There is no counter argument to the White Sox shouldn't try their damnedest to be the worst team that has ever been put on paper and has ever stepped foot on a baseball field.
In the spirit of sports talk media, I'll give you the counter argument. Here's the counter argument, and it's I think a valid one, which is that it doesn't matter where in the draft the White Sox select their pick. They'll get it wrong. And this is the counter argument, right? Is that they look at their high draft picks in the last decade. What do you have to show for it?
Right. But here's the thing. Look at what they just did with the Rule 5 draft. It is only the Rule 5 draft, but they had the choice of everybody. You know? They have and the number one overall pick isn't a guarantee in any, right? I think the only
correct,
Hall of
especially in
Famers
baseball.
What, Ken Griffey Jr. and somebody else?
Yeah, I mean,
if I knew the stat.
The baseball draft is more of a crapshoot than any other sport by far.
Right. It was A-Rod number one? Is it A-Rod and Ken Griffey Jr.? Anyways.
Yeah, Bryce Harper will get there.
Bryce Harper will get there. That's a great point there, Stephen.
True. Yeah.
But you just want to be able to get the best guy. It might not all pan out. Maybe he has injuries. Maybe he doesn't end up making it, yada, yada, yada. But consensus coming into 2026, June or whatever, you want to get the best guy, or at least have the opportunity to. Let's get to Jared's question. He asked this. Oh, Harold Baines. Thank you, fat hipster. I should have gotten that because, duh, he's a White Sox. So, yeah, Harold Baines and Ken Griffey Jr.
Shouldn't be a Hall of Famer, though.
Number one. Well, yeah, that's a different topic that gets people mad. Anyways,
Yeah.
hey, you know what won't get people mad? Here's a Frank Thomas bobblehead.
Yay!
Everybody loves Frank Thomas. You can't get mad at Frank Thomas.
And she'll love it, too.
She'll love it too. Absolutely. Antoine, our guy in the chat, is asking about Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones, Hall of Famer. And he was 1-1. Yeah. So boom, Antoine's right. So I guess it's now Chipper, Ken Griffey Jr., and Harold Baines. So there's 3. So I didn't know the stat when I first started it, and I didn't even know the stat when I finished it. So there could be a 4th out there. I guess maybe Adley or Bobby Witt Jr. Or I guess Kevin's saying if we got Adley or Bobby Witt in 2019, we would have been a first place team right now. It's possible, but again,
I want to push back. I want to push back on that because again, I agree with you in principle that you want the best chance at getting the consensus best pick. However, it could be Alex Rodriguez. If he comes up through the White Sox system, he just won't pan out, is the counter argument. The counter argument is it doesn't matter who they get, they will screw it up.
I don't know. I mean, players like Ken Griffey Jr. and Alex Rodriguez, I don't think there's messing up. I think the only messing up is letting them go to Texas or Cincinnati, right? Like, that's the mess up, is just, like, you can't... Ken Griffey Jr. was, like, probably the best baseball player, like, in New York when he was hanging out with his dad when he was 16.
No, you're right about that. I don't know, but I also am not familiar with the upcoming baseball draft. Like, is there Ken Griffey Jr. in there?
Well, no, but that's why. But we don't need to worry about the 2025 draft because they got the 10th pick. We're looking for 2026, where I think there's another holiday. So their dad was good, and the kid Jackson's like maybe going to be all right. So hey,
player?
What?
Is he a position player?
Yeah. Oh, they're all position players. You think Matt Holliday's raising a pitcher? Come on.
Well, I ask because the only modicum of success that the White Sox have had through the draft in recent memory is pitching. Like, they have actually drafted pitching pretty damn well.
Yes, and with Brian Bannister being there, you think that there's a little bit more hope. And hey, Luis Robert Jr. is destroying spring training, so maybe Ryan Fuller can put some hope into the Chicago White Sox fans. Jared's asking a very important question that we will get to after the break. He's asking, who are the Chicago White Sox? We're going to tell you that right after the break. We want to let you know about our friends over at Bet365. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Bet $5. New customers, bet $5. Get $150 in free bets, win or lose. So you can go place a bet right now on the Bulls. Place a $5 wager on the Bulls to win against the Nuggets. And even if they lose, you get $150 in bonus bets. I had a really fun weekend gambling away on college basketball. My favorite part was the Oregon Ducks lost against the Arizona Wildcats, but I won my money line bet because they had a 15-point lead. With our friends over at Bet365, there is the NBA and college basketball early payout offer. At least with NBA, if your team goes up by 20 points, you get the early payout. If it's 15 points, a 15-point lead in college basketball, you get that early payout. So your team doesn't have to win. They just have to take a 20 to 15-point lead. You can have them collapse historically, and it doesn't even matter with our friends over at Bet365. New customers, Now, get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code CHGO365, deposit $10 and place a $5 bet to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, total, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365. Must be 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Boston Beer. Boston Beer has changed the game with Sam Adams American Light. Light beer just got better, Stoop. That's water. That's not beer. I told you to drink beer. Told you to drink Sam Adams Light, and you're here you are drinking water.
The truck hasn't showed up yet.
All right. It's clean, crisp, and super easy to drink. No gimmicks and no fluff. Sam Adams American Light is not your average light beer. It's brewed with 100% American-sourced ingredients from local independent farmers. It's light beer that is made right. It's not heavy. You don't feel so full. You can just really sit there and drink a few, you know? They're drinkable, folks. Light beer shouldn't feel like a compromise. It's an American classic so smooth that you want to crack another. It's always Sam season with our friends over at Boston Beer. Light beer just got better. Grab some Sam Adams American Light. Available now at select Chicago retailers. Must be 21. Please drink responsibly. Let's head over to the Chicago White Sox 26-man roster. No, Brandon Drury, I know that you're crying and you're very, very upset about it. What do you make of Luis Robert Jr.? We know that he's going to be on the team. They haven't traded him yet. He's got now 4 home runs in spring training. I believe an average that's around 300. An on-base percentage that's actually, worth noting. I just said this stat out on Twitter. Number of pitches seen in a 3-ball count from Luis Robert Jr. in spring. 2023, 2. 2024, 1. So that means he saw 1 pitch in a 3-ball count. In 2024, he saw 2 pitches in a 3-ball count in 2023. Now he's got 21 in 2025. That seems significant. Are you buying into Luis Robert Jr. has changed something in spring?
I mean, it's 2 things for him. And first and foremost is, can he stay healthy? How many games are you going to get out of him, right? If he play, what's the most games he's even played in a season? Has he played 100 games?
145?
Okay. That's what I think White Sox fans feel like is, boy, if this kid can just, gut out a whole year, you've got a ball player. And then the 1B to that 1A is what you just referenced, which is he needs to command the strike zone. It doesn't matter how big and strong and powerful and good of an athlete you are if you literally swing at everything. Right. And I think that was the frustration for a lot of us, and has been the frustration for a lot of us watching him, is even when healthy, he too many bad swings and misses.
Well, and not to be too big of a dork, and I agree with Katie, hit the like button if you haven't already. We got about, 29 people watching. Hit that like button for StoopKiid. Hit that like button for me. Hit that like button for Luis Robert Jr. The one thing that sticks out to me, 2021, when he was pretty much a rookie, he had his 56 games in 2020, but in 2021, when his first full-ish season, he was still hurt. He only played 11 more games. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, in 2021, he had a 331 average, and then has never really been next to that threshold before. And he was as down to 224 this year. If he's showing this level of contact and he's got an average around 280 and he's actually walking, he's going to be more valuable than he ever was. And if you mention, he's healthy, they don't even need him to be healthy for 160 games. They need him to stay healthy until July. If he has a kind of spring like he did the start of 2023, where he heads into Seattle's All-Star game as an All-Star, I think he had around 20-something, 25 home runs, was competing in the home run derby. If he has that much hype going into this All-Star break, I think he's going to be so easily tradable, which is so funny just because I think last June he was tradable. Then by September, he wasn't tradable at all. This offseason, he was not tradable at all. But I think there is some way that he can actually work himself back into being a pretty valuable asset.
And so that's how you're looking at this. You're looking at him strictly as maximize his value as a trade asset.
Isn't that what it should be? I mean, it seems like they're trying to be the Milwaukee Brewers, but just 90 miles south.
I mean, they'd have to do a lot more. They'd have to win a lot more games to even.
Well, right.
Become,
but like, and hey, talent helps there, and Luis Robert Jr. is the most talented. But I mean, part of also what we've seen this year is just them not spend any money. I think their current cap is at, or their current running total on their team is like $75 million. Like, and they're still looking. They'd be thrilled to get rid of the $15 million for Luis Robert Jr. and make that $60 million.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I don't know where. I think that people would probably be pretty divided on what to do if Luis this year really solidifies himself as the superstar that at least locally we all think he is. I think you're going to have a fan base divided in opinion on, this team is so far from contending for anything. Like Sean is saying, maximize his value, get what you can back for him. Can Chris Getz do that is another question. And then you're going to have another contingent of the fan base saying, look, you have to, at some point, you need something to build around. You need some star players on your team to win.
Right.
So
I mean, he's only going to get more expensive. Again, like they want star players. They just want them to be cheap.
Well, that's silly. That's silly. There's no
change with the new owner, but
from your lips to God's ears, I don't want to hear he's going to be too expensive. Jerry's got the money. It's not, too expensive implies that there's some limit to what you can pay a player, and Los Angeles has showed us pretty definitively that there is no limit. And if you want talent, you can just buy talent.
The reason why, you even look at the Reds rumor of them trying to acquire Luis Robert Jr., the White Sox had to eat like half of the money. Like, that's what I even mean about too expensive. Like, it's not even for Jerry himself. Like, obviously, Jerry Reinsdorf can afford a player that makes $100 million on a total salary contract, or agreeing to that total. And him and the Royals, or him and the A's, are the only team that haven't done that. But like, I guess it just seems like Robert's even too expensive for other players or other teams because of that question mark with health.
Right. So how much of that question mark gets alleviated if this happens, this scenario that you're laying out happens, where he plays himself in, at an all-star, he plays into the All-Star game by the All-Star break of this year. Does that does that answer the question enough for teams to want to take on the money?
I think so, because teams are desperate. I mean, you could just look at the Phillies, and I don't know if Dave Dombrowski necessarily wants to deal with Chris Getz again, especially with Matt Gelb leaking the stuff that they did about the trade deadline, that apparently they offered Aiden Miller in a package for Garrett Crochet, and Chris Getz said no. I don't know if Dave Dombrowski wants to necessarily work with Chris Getz, but that seems like a team that does have all of the components that if all they need is a center fielder, they don't care about him making $15 million. They'll do that to bring that player in to elevate their level. Maybe it's more risk, but they have the necessary talent to offset that risk if it's not made that up, whatever. I agree with Maloney too. His glove is valuable, but extra DH appearances for Luis might go a long way to keeping him healthy. I don't think they'll be against that. But also, who the hell will play center field? Let's figure that out. We are now going to describe the White Sox 26-man roster with one word. And I think these are going to be your first time, StoopKiid, hearing these players' names for the first time.
What do you mean? I am incredibly tuned in and knowledgeable on the 2025 Chicago White Sox.
You know this one. Also, I love in the chat, CHGO Sports, Steven saying, Steven here, spelling his name Stephen, Evan Baloney saying, what's up, Steven, Stphan. It's literally right there. How do you misspell it?
It's okay. He tried.
It's in the chat.
Good to see you, though.
He's trying his best.
Shout out Baloney. All right. Miguel Vargas. You've heard this name. One word to describe Miguel Vargas.
Oh, boy. I have to think. Competent? Competent is the word that I'm going to use.
You're sure on that? Final answer, Regis.
Competent is what we should strive for Vargas, I think. If we get competent out of Vargas, we're doing okay.
Yes, if you get competent out of Vargas, you're absolutely going to do okay. I have predicted that he's going to lead the team in home runs just by the fact that he's going to have the most runway. So I agree with you that I think he'll be competent-ish. I don't know if he's going to be a decent third baseman, but yeah, it's competent. I'll take. I would say stinky.
I think you're going to see. You're not wrong about the runway, but I think you're going to see a lot more Brian Ramos than you want to.
I'm excited for Brian Ramos. Why do you say it that way? You have a personal vendetta against Brian Ramos.
I don't. No, I don't, and I wish for success for him. I just that's the vibe. I'm getting Drury vibes. I'm getting that guy's going to be on this team when you have grandkids still.
Maybe that would be a good thing. I don't know. Hey, Drury was a legend. I'd retire his jersey number. That's probably why they don't have me making decisions, but I would retire Drury's number. Anyways,
that would be the most White Sox thing. I would love that.
I don't think that's. I mean, they won't even retire Ozzy's number, and he actually did something here. Anyways, I would describe Miguel Vargas as stinky. Right now, that boy stinks. Just pretty horrendous. What you saw in 2024, I don't think is anything that he wants to show again. I don't think is anything that he would use to describe himself. You know, there's things that you leave off resumes when you're making resumes. I don't think Miguel Vargas would include his 2024 stint with the Chicago White Sox on his resume. I think he's got to obviously build himself up. If he comes out and has a good 2025, that's a player that can be here in 2026. But if he's terrible in April and he's terrible in May, there was talks of people in February saying we could just cut Miguel Vargas. Like, that's what I could possibly see happening is if Vargas sucks so much, he's replaced by Ramos. And there you go. You got the 23-year-old Ramos replacing him. Let's go to Andrew Benintendi. I will pass this to you. What is one word to describe Andrew Benintendi?
So I'm known for my clarifying questions here. So my one word to describe him, is this based on what he's done in White Sox uniform to this point, or describe what I wish for his 2025?
We have enough time to do both.
I don't want to do both.
Okay, the second half. What do you think 2025 would be?
My one word then is going to be return. Now that the stakes have never been lower, I think maybe this, based on just how these things have gone for the organization in the past, return is my word, because now that the stakes have never been lower, you might see a return, some kind of return to form. He's never going to play up to what they paid him, relatively speaking, but you might see at least a replacement level position player.
If he goes out and puts up like a 4-WAR season like he did in 2018, I will be sick to my stomach.
Dude, well, no. Four is insane. And 4 is you're absolutely
trading.
You said
return.
When's the last time he was positive WAR? Has he done it in a White Sox uniform?
2022, 2.1.
So that's real. That's, what I'm looking for. That's what I'm thinking. If we can get back to 2.1 for him,
he had
that's great.
Offensive value in 2022 of 10 per Fangraphs. In 2023 with the White Sox, negative 7.7. Last year, negative 6.2. So you just need to see a 16-point increase in offensive value. It's easily found. Don't worry.
Right.
I like Sam saying, Andrew Benintendi, handsome. That's a pretty good one. Hey, I've bagged the guy enough. He's not that ugly. Victor Von Doom saying, didn't Benintendi fracture his hand in spring training? Why is he still playing? Apparently he's healed. He feels fine enough to play again. So I guess it was 4 to 6 weeks. It was on the 4 side, and he's back. Should we trust the White Sox, doctors with Ayo DeSumo saying that he had a fracture in his back for 1 to 2 years? Probably not. But, he's fine for right now. So pending anything going wrong, Benintendi's fine, and don't even think about it. So there you go. Let's take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We will continue with the rest of the 26-man roster after I let you know about our friends over at Sunnyside. Our friends over at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer. Sunnyside is a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary, with locations in the city like Wrigleyville and River North, and in the suburbs like Champaign, South Beloit. My favorite is the stop in Elmwood Park. I did just have the hot dog place over there that I cannot think, and it was very good. I got the double dog with fries on top, and now I can't think of what the place was. It was cash only because the ATM didn't work. This is away from the Sunnyside read. We should get back on track. Our friends over at Sunnyside have great brands like Cresco and FloroCal that have incredible quality and consistent products, so go check them out at sunnyside.shop. Bright prize every day over at sunnyside.shop, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Cornbread Hemp. Our friends over at Cornbread Hemp are the first USDA organic gummies. Oh, there we go. All products are third-party lab tested and USDA organic to ensure safety and purity. Life's been crazy. You're about to watch White Sox baseball, and maybe it's going to be so frustrating that you're going to need to unwind before you go to bed. Cornbread Hemp's CBD gummies are what you've been looking for. If you've been looking for a natural way to relieve aches and discomfort, the CBD gummies from Cornbread Hemp are formulated to work with your body, not against it, and you know, I'm not as young as I once was, but I care a lot about maintaining my physical and mental wellness. Cornbread's Hemp's CBD gummies are a huge piece of my wellness plan. If you have never tried something like this, give Cornbread Hemp a shot. Again, it's organic, and it's your time to try our friends over at Cornbread Hemp. Right now, they're offering CHGO listeners 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO and use promo code CHGO at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO and use code CHGO for 30% off your first order. This is The Good Life with our friends over at Cornbread Hemp. We are back with our pal, StoopKiid. Amy's asking, who are the infielders going to be on the opening day roster? Hope Rojas is back quick. I can't watch Amaya play anymore. One word to describe Jacob Amaya, who will be on the opening day roster.
Rojas. Just the word to describe him based on the opinion of the commenter here.
No, Amaya.
I know. Yeah. That was
Rojas is your word to describe Amaya.
Correct. Yes.
All right. That's not
correct.
Confusing.
Yeah.
That's not confusing at all. You're going to stick with that answer?
Yep.
All right. Cool. I like that answer. That's a pretty good answer. I guess noodle would actually work again, as Jared used that to describe Andrew Benintendi. That's pretty much how you would describe his bat. Jacob Amaya is there because he has a glove and a functioning right hand to pick up ground balls. Will he be able to do that effectively? Probably not, but he definitely can't hit. So thankfully he's here. I mean, again, what it seems like with Brian Ramos and at least our guy, Jacob Amaya, they're on the 40-man roster, and that's why they're going to be on the opening day roster. Let's look at second base. It seems, according to Roster Resource over at Fangraphs, that Lenyn Sosa will be the starting second baseman for your Chicago White Sox. What's one word to describe Lenyn Sosa?
Comrade.
I was going to say communist. So, yeah, I'm glad that you went there as well. It's either that or superstar, because he hit 8 home runs in the Venezuelan Winter League, and that's the only thing that I can think of now at any point with Lenyn Sosa. I mean, he could be terrible. I could not even remember his April and May for the Chicago White Sox, and maybe his whole White Sox career ends in a Peter. But, boy, I will remember those 8 Venezuelan Winter League home runs from Lenyn Sosa.
Listen, I'm going to plant my flag here. I'm pretty confident that Lenyn Sosa is just my personal favorite White Sox right now.
Oh.
Unless we get Touki Toussaint back, I'm riding for Lenyn Sosa.
So, and then out of the past White Sox of yore, who else is in that Touki Lenyn Sosa bunch? Is there another person, or is that the upper echelon of your favorite White Sox?
What was his name? Brian Goodwin? Was that his name?
Yeah, Brian Goodwin. Yeah, with the home run. Yeah. Be good.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right. Yeah, no, his 2021 was fantastic. I mean, there was a tweet earlier, and I ended up tweeting about Alejandro De Aza, but it was miss this and it's just a fourth outfielder and it's literally Brian Goodwin. So you could go, quote tweet that with that home run, and there you go. All right. Yep. We got through third base. That's Miguel Vargas. Second base, Lenyn Sosa. Shortstop, Jake Amaya, again, according to Roster Resource. How would you describe Corey Lee? One word to describe Corey Lee.
Potential.
Really?
Yeah, really. I think based on, he was one of the very, very few, and you'd need to squint still, but he was one of the very few bright spots for the 2024 White Sox, that he looked kind of like a ball player. Like they might have lucked out and actually gotten a reasonable catcher on their team, which, I mean, when's the last time they really had that? That they valued properly.
Yaz for those 93 games in 2021 or whatever. That was Barry Bonds. That's my Barry Bonds. You can't tell me differently.
No, I wouldn't dare argue with that assessment. His no offensive season will ever duplicate what he did in the number of games that he played, because he missed a lot of games that year. Defensively, though, he was catastrophic. He was awful. And Corey Lee looks solid defensively, and he was one of the few guys hitting the ball last year. So, yeah, potential.
Our guy Antoine says superstar. So he took my Lenyn Sosa word and gave it to Corey Lee. I think that one's not, I mean, potential's not crazy. I'm really interested to see what he can do with Walker McKinven. He still has one option, too. So, I mean, there's no even pressure to have him on the major league roster. I think he's a major leaguer. The one thing that does concern me is it seemed like he got a little bit exposed once they cut Martin Maldonado and he had to play more. So maybe if he's balanced a little bit more properly, we will see him have a little bit more return. Antoine, or actually the Fat Hipster says, who gets more catcher starts for the Sox in 2025? What do you think of Matt Tice in one word, and will he get more starts than Corey Lee? Or is Corey Lee the starter?
Well, I think you start Corey Lee.
Yeah, and I mean, Tice is a lefty, so they'll probably see him, at least Tice up against some right-handed pitchers, but I think mostly you'll probably see Corey Lee.
Tice is a lefty, a little bit slighter build, and from what I could tell, kind of a journeyman. I am really stretching the extent of my knowledge on the White Sox depth chart here, but
I think you could probably say forgettable, respectfully, to Matt Tice. I don't think that you'll remember in 5 years that Matt Tice was a White Sox, respectfully to Matt Tice. And I did not realize Antoine was actually quoting the great John Schriffen when he said superstar. I forgot that he called Corey Lee a superstar, and I'm glad I forgot that. And I'm going to try to forget that right now. Brian, your name's not Brian. Why do I want to call you Brian? Maybe that should be my question. Stoop. What do you make of John Schriffen? He's not on the 26-man roster, but one word to describe John Schriffen.
Lucky.
Ooh. Do you want to expand on that? You don't have to.
No.
Okay. All right. Right field. Michael A. Taylor. One word to describe Michael A. Taylor.
Serviceable is the word for him. That's a Major League Baseball player that's on the team.
Defense. I think I'll go sit out at the section 108 and I'll just bring a D. And if you could bring the fence, we can just hold that up for our guy Michael A. Taylor in the top of the innings, and we can just go defense, because I'm assuming he'll be in right field. We can go to 161. I think 161 is the opposite one in left field. We can go to left field. He's playing in left field. You get it. Maybe we'll have to go to the CIBC fan deck for center field, but just bring the fence. I'll bring the D.
That
didn't sound good.
Wherever you and your D want to take me, Sean, nope. I'm there. No. I'm there. I'm there.
No. We're good on that. I didn't actually know this show was presented by Bet365. That was probably important. I should probably bring up that the show is presented by Bet365. Bet365 is a presenting sponsor of our friends over at CHGO, and we're very happy to have them on board. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. All right, let's get to some of the pitchers here, because I don't know if it's going to be Nick Maton, and I don't think you have a word for Austin Slater. Sean Burke. You got a word for Sean Burke? Is it Is it you just going to moan?
No, healthy question mark. Healthy question mark is my word.
Okay. Health.
That's technically through. Yes.
Yeah,
Health.
we just go health.
Health.
Because you know he had a shoulder injury. You just want him to give us a full season out there.
I mean, with the way that pitchers have been dropping off of this roster, you need somebody. You need somebody.
Truly.
So.
Drew Thorpe has undergone Tommy John surgery along with Mason Adams, so yikes on that one. Two guys that easily could have been a part of the 2025 White Sox rotation at some point, so they've dropped like flies. Healthy is very important. I'm just excited to see what he can do. Like, let me see 120 innings. If he sucks, oh well. If he's got like a 5 ERA, but he's striking out a ton of guys, that's fine. Maybe he's a little bit wild, but hopefully he is able to put out 26 to 30 starts. Like, that'd be great to see. Martin Perez. You got a word for Martin Perez?
Oh, baseball.
Baseball. That's a good one. No, I think we can go with Martin Perez. Baseball. He's a baseball player, and he's done it for a couple of years. I think now he's got about 12 years of service time. So baseball is definitely described like 3/4 of his life, or that's not the proper math there, maybe like 1/4 of his life, but baseball.
That's the word. That's a word.
Baseball.
I know words. I know the best words.
Victor says vet. So, I mean, we can go with Martin Perez. The one thing that's made me upset about Martin Perez is that he keeps talking about this team being decent. This team is going to be respectable, and this team is going to be able to go out there and prove people wrong. Like, he's going to look fairly idiotic at the end of the season. Is there any consequences that Martin Perez should face for speaking this nonsense?
No. What do you want him to say? We're going to lose 110 games.
He's going to be gone after this year.
Yeah.
He's taking his $5 million and running. I think You know what? I think words are describe Martin Perez respectable.
Well, and as we've established too, like the stakes have never been lower. So, what do you have to lose getting chesty as a member of this roster? I'd be out here saying we're going to win the World Series. I mean, who cares?
Who cares? I mean,
what do you have to lose?
Nothing. I mean, maybe respectability. Maybe
respectability. You lost 121 games.
But no, I'm saying more like, Martin Perez said that before the 2025 season that the White Sox were going to win the World Series, and they went on to lose 120 games. Like, I feel like you'd lose some respect. You'd at least lose some, what's it called? Some cachet.
How much of that does he have? Honest question. I don't know.
It's a fair thing. I mean, maybe we do look too much to celebrities in society. I mean, maybe we do overvalue the opinions of celebrities. Maybe we don't need a story every day from White Sox spring training about what Martin Perez thinks about the 2025 spring training. But then you're kind of questioning the status of my job. So maybe let's just get away from this because I like talking every single day about Martin Perez saying stuff. Anyways, hit that thumbs up button.
I love that all I have to do is be here to just completely spin you out. Like I thought I was going to have to work to derail you, and it's just looking at me gets you on these tangents, and it's a lot of fun for me personally.
I've been off the rails for months, brother. All right, final thing here. We'll dump the one word bit, and we'll just go into one thing. Oh, credibility is the word I was looking for. Thank you, Antoine. Mike Vasil. Vasil was picked up by the White Sox. He was drafted by the Mets, and then he was a Rule 5 eligible player who was picked up by the Rays and then released by the Rays and then picked up by the White Sox. So Mike Vasil is on the White Sox. He's on the 40-man, and he has to be on the 26-man roster. If they release him or try to option him to Charlotte at any point, he will then have to be returned back to the Mets. So the White Sox technically now have 2 Rule 5 picks on their roster, Shane Smith and Mike Vasil. Vasil's 6'5", and he's a lefty. I think that's why they picked him up. I don't really have anything else. He was selected in the 8th round. Not like it's a former first rounder. He'd make it to the Futures game once, but there's no real eye-popping numbers. He can throw a little bit. Like, he could probably throw 100 innings, so maybe they're looking for length there. Maybe this is the new Jared Schuster. Lucky Mike Vasil.
Is he one of these guys? I know they've got like a side armor on either side. Is he the lefty side armor?
No, that's Gilbert. Gilbert's the lefty side armor, and then Penn Murphy's the righty side armor, and then Cam.
Those are as a former side armor myself. Those are the guys that I'm going to be watching most intently out of the bullpen.
Did you force it?
No, the opposite. Actually, I didn't know I was doing it. I didn't feel that I was doing it, and nobody stopped me as a 5th, 6th grader just getting into travel ball or whatever. Luckily, nobody stopped me. And then people started telling me like, "Hey, you throw funny," and I had no concept of it. And then I would get freeze frames, and it was like lower 3/4 even. And hey, I mean, I wasn't a big, strong kid and didn't have a lot of velocity, so everything moved, kind of a junk ball approach. And so those are always the guys that have my heart coming out of the bullpen.
Yeah, it looks like you should get to a Planet Fitness and go work with Driveline. See if you can get 5 miles per hour on your fastball. If you throw it from a funky angle, you don't have to throw 95. Anyways, that's going to wrap up the CHGO White Sox podcast presented to you by Bet365. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Bet $5, get $150 in bonus bet, whether your wager wins or lose. Want to appreciate or give a shout out to StoopKiid. You can follow him at StoopKiid, II93. Go follow the people over at All Sports Scene as well. The very good people, everyone except Sam. I think that's probably
correct.
Yeah, everyone except Sam Reeves. We do not like Sam. I know you're in the process of getting rid of him. I'm sorry to bring him up. I know it's a sore spot with your guys' company, but I just, everyone but Sam over at All Sports Scene.
Yeah, it's fine. I can't really talk about it. We're in a prolonged legal battle, but yeah, go follow All Sports Scene. We Sam and I, unfortunately, we do every other Tuesday. We do a podcast called Talking Out Our Ass. It's an interview show that's kind of flipped on its head, where we have guests. We've had the very handsome Sean Anderson on, who we have them come on, and the guest does all the preparation for, so they bring a topic that they'd like to talk about for an hour, whereas Sam and I do zero preparation at all, and then we have to formulate an interview on the spot. So we do that every other Tuesday, and every Thursday, 7 p.m., we do AskCast, just kind of an around the horn type of deal. Am I legally allowed to say that? I don't know. But yeah, thanks for having me. And what you might need in the future is like some kind of ringer to read your ads for you. Take that off your plate.
I think we'll work on that. I think if I could go to the bullpen and get an ad reader, I think that'd be really a useful time of our budget. Anyways, that's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. Go follow StoopKiid. Go follow the All Sports or the All Sports Scene. I was going to mess that up. It's 3 letters, 3 words. We're going to be back on Thursday. We'll have a post-game show for opening day. We will cover the first game for the White Sox in 2025 against the Los Angeles Angels. We hope to see you there. I will see you then on Thursday after the White Sox game. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.